Testing 1 2 1 2 3. Testing. Do we have people to watch, I'm assuming? That's good. Yes. So Mew's gonna hit Urshi, win Urshi, then they're guaranteed to hit Zard and loses Zard, so Urshi will just win. Okay. Pretty sure Urshi will win. Yeah, I'm ready. Okay.
Hey, howdy, hey, folks, and welcome back to another edition of Late Night TCG here on YouTube.com/The Shuffle Squad. And we're back once again, folks. Another late night NA top 8, but coming to you as someone that doesn't have to go to work tomorrow. It's me, it's Kyle Rios, aka known as Koopa, on one side of the country, and again, joining me once again, someone who I'm sure is very pleased at 3 of the top 8 spots that are filled with a Rapid Strike. It's my buddy Victor Aung. Vic, hello, how are you doing? How you feeling?
Hi, I'm feeling alright. Yeah, I think I'm not going to San Antonio this weekend, but if I was, I'd be upset that people are leaking the best deck. Broken.
Yeah, the sauce is all over the place. Picture a la The Office and Kevin's Chili. It's just kind of leaked all over the place.
Yeah.
In case you guys haven't been paying attention to the standings tonight, 3 out of our top 8 spots are filled with Urshifu, Rapid Strike specifically. Definitely something to talk about. It definitely could be a sign of what's to come. As you know, as someone I'm sure has entered a handful of these events, Victor, I'm sure it's very easy to be like, the day beforehand, starts to leak. But we can talk more about that as we hop into what I believe is our first rematch of the night, which includes 0 Urshifu. So hang on for just 1 second, folks. And when you look at that, as I promised, no Urshifu on this screen, Victor. It is instead a Charizard mirror. 3 of our other top 8 spots tonight are taken up with the Charizard Pidgeot variants, and the other 2 slots include Lost Zone Charizard and a Mew. So, any thoughts on how the meta shaped up tonight and what we got going on in front of us?
I'm honestly not too surprised here. The only weird deck... No, I don't think there are any weird decks in this top 8. So the Sablezard Roaring Moon in the top 8 is a little bit unusual. We just saw Sablezard win Stuttgart, though, so Sablezard as a whole, not that unexpected. It's maybe unexpected that there are 3 Urshifu, but overall, I think the deck is really well positioned right now, so personally, I'm not too surprised.
Yeah, I definitely cannot say I'm surprised either as we take a look at what is popping off here in one of our top 8 matches here. It's Juggernaut 8 going up against XXX Reaction. It looks like we have the first evolution on the side here, so assuming it was Juggernaut that went first, you're going to be able to get the first attack off, and that Mew is going to fall victim to that Burning Darkness. So Charizard Mirror, definitely something that you've seen a lot of if you're watching a lot of the matches at home. As someone that's sort of an expert yourself, as we like to call ourselves here, in this mirror, are you a first or a second type of guy, you think?
It depends a little bit on the build. Most Charizards are leaning towards this Pidgeot EX build that you see on screen from both players right now. I think given that Rotom V, as we see it on screen, using that instant charge ability is getting popular, you typically do want to go first because Rotom V can smooth over those worse going first starts, and you have the potential to kind of pop off and get that first attack, get that first knockout, get the ball rolling. But speaking of getting the ball rolling, it's not happening over here on the other side of the screen from, I believe that's XXX Reaction playing the Zard, just having to instant charge and going down to 4 prizes remaining for their opponent.
Yeah, definitely, you'd say most of this is not a great way to start the game. However, Charizard, a card that is, notorious for getting stronger in the late game here. So it looks like we're going to get the Pidgeot on board here with a hand that big. Hopefully you assume you have at least one of the 2 pieces to finish the combo here to get the Charizard EX on board. you know, it looks like we're going to get the quick search into something here. Hopefully it is that missing piece like we talked about, because things are starting to get a little dire. Like, yes, Charizard can come back from these big numbers deficits, but you can only do so much when you only have one active Charizard, but that's null and void. As we have the evolution here, the Infernal Rain is going to boof up this Charizard. We're going to be able to start swinging here, but unbeknownst to a reaction here, we do see the Justified Gloves on the side of Juggernaut here.
Oh, man.
Ooh. Except there goes that Charmeleon.
So boss's orders onto the Charmeleon makes sense because you're so behind the prize race that really your best win condition is to get through all the Zards and hope that they whiff attacks. If they never whiff an attack, if your opponent never whiffs an attack when you're this far behind, you will lose. So trying to get that out of play before it becomes a Charizard does make sense.
That's right, and we do have Lost City on the table here, so these Pokemon, once they are knocked out, they are not to be returned. So now it also becomes not only, you know, a battle against the ticking time bomb of Charizard, but a battle against your own resources. So I guess that's also sort of the issue with the mirror, is that you kind of have a good idea of what at least, like, you know, 55 of the other guys' 60 cards are. Again, that Justified Gloves card is definitely a little spicy. You know, you don't usually see that in Charizard builds. You usually see that in decks that are teching against Charizard. Because 330 is one of those, like, really hard numbers to reach.
Right.
So quick search coming out here. Going to grab the boss. Most likely going to be zeroing down on that Rotom.
The boss onto the Rotom in combination with the Justified Gloves in hand does make a lot of sense. You're going to go down to 2 prizes, which means you only have to clean up 1 Zard to finish off the game. And it's looking like almost checkmate in this case because you have that Pidgeot EX to work with. So you can always grab that Justified Gloves if you need to.
Yeah, exactly. Again, that's kind of the product of whoever can attack first here. And like you said, if you don't miss an attack with this deck, you're pretty much just chilling. So the quick search is going to help find something here. Hopefully, but like you said, even a hand disruption or anything is not going to really do you any good. You know, because Pidgeot is going to be able to search out what you need. The Defiance Band, sure, but
yeah. So there is the Iono coming through here, and this Zard is going to do a lot of damage at least, and it will knock out a Charizard EX. So if you combine that with the Iono to 2, you can disrupt your opponent a little bit, but unfortunately not quite enough because we see Juggernaut drawing into the Charizard EX.
Yeah, we're going to see the promotion of the Pidgeot here. That free retreat obviously provides you a pivot to play with. The Iono on their own side, possibly, but you know, do you just go for the promotion of the Charizard? Do you just go for the quick search into the rare candy here, I guess?
Yeah, you have to. Iono doesn't draw you enough cards to really guarantee anything. Plus, you would be putting that Charizard back on the bottom of the deck exactly where it doesn't want to be. So I think you take the guaranteed Charizard EX right now, evolve it up, get that Burning Darkness going, maybe even play the Iono to burn some resources from your opponent. But it is concerning now because your opponent does have the Defiance Band still, so you do need to set up some other attacker. I mean, even just charging up this Pidgeot EX, though, should be enough.
All right, here we go. Oh, just getting the 1 energy.
Just choosing to only attach 1. I think you I mean, I could be missing something here, but it would make sense to attach another to that Pidgeot EX and attach this Fire Energy from hand. Or maybe even you attach both from the deck so that you thin out the deck a little bit for this Iono, because you do need to follow up this attack with something.
Alright, just kind of thinking about what to do here.
Yeah, this Defiance Band is getting so much value. We talked about the Justified Gloves, but the Defiance Band is basically doing the work of Justified Gloves. But here, instead of attacking, because they chose not to attach the energy to the Pidgeot EX, they're forced to go into just a Pidgey. And I don't think that's... I mean, now this Charizard EX doesn't have any damage on it, and it's just going to get bossed from a quick search.
Yeah, Defiance Band, if you guys are unfamiliar, this isn't a much newer card in the Zard realm of things. You know, if you are down on prize cards, it adds an extra 30 damage to your attacks. Given Charizard's already built-in comeback mechanic, that gives you a perfect 330, which is able to one-hit knock out a Charizard. A luxury that not many decks tend to have.
Man, Juggernaut, I think, had this one in the bag. Just got a little bit too cute. Just not realizing that Pidgeot EX is a more than serviceable attacker in this case, given that you would have gone down, your opponent would have gone down to 1 prize, and you could clean up your last 2 with that secondary attacker.
Yeah, tough stuff there. Like you said, definitely maybe get a little too cute with it at the end. And in these mirrors, especially again with so many cards to help adjust math here, within Charizard itself, and the extra tool cards you can play with, you really can't afford to play with your food. You really gotta just kind of get at it whenever the opportunity presents itself.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if there's anything else he could have done, but no, I think that was it. I think just attaching that Pidgeot EX. There's no Radiant Zard or anything like that in this list, so just having some form of backup attacker would have been good. I know Charizard EX at 3 prizes would have done 270, so you really needed just like a weak poke to finish off the game there.
All right, let us see what is going to go down here in game 2. Curious what the what Juggernaut is opting to do here. Again, do you opt to go first to set up that board state as strong as you can? Do you opt to go second to, guarantee your supporter for the turn and also, help you maybe get that supporter offline? I know the combination of Arvin and Battle VIP Pass is really, really, very, very strong. Really hard to pass up there. All right, bro. We're going to see the Jirachi start here. Into the Pidgey start here. Looks like Juggernaut opting to go first, so...
Ooh, Charmander. Ugh. So no VIP pass, so it's not the best start in the world, but you do have guaranteed turn 2 Charizard, so I think this start is serviceable for sure.
Yeah, do you see just go for the Rotom here to get the instant charge off, kind of help refill that hand after having to... sack a few of those supporters. There we go. Allows you to draw into what you need here. And like I said, it does guarantee you to turn 2 Charizard, which is very, very crucial here. So let's see what Reaction has to play with here. Again, starting the lone Pidgey in the active, and Avery going to come through. So, I guess in retrospect, in hindsight, not a bad idea to not have a full bench there.
Yeah, I think, well, I don't think it would have mattered too much, but having a Pidgey at least would have been nice, even under that Avery. I'm not sure how Juggernaut will navigate this next turn. You can Arvin for something like a Level Ball and then Seal Stone to set up that Pidgey. But I think you do want Pidgeot pretty badly in this mirror to be able to keep those Zards going and to be able to find boss when you want it.
Right, here we go. See the attachment to turn here, and we just see the Call for Family coming out, so...
Yeah, I think it's interesting. I think I would also choose to go first in this mirror, given that both players are running that Rotom V, just to get the initiative, start attacking faster. But going second definitely has its benefits for sure. It's just way more consistent, I think, because you have so many supporters to work with, and you have this Call for Family attack even. So actually not even grabbing a second Pidgey, I would guess that means second Pidgey is prized, because this Pidgey is about to get knocked out this time.
Yeah. Yeah, again, like you said, the lack of a Pidgey on one side, it definitely is, very, very telling of how that first turn went for Juggernaut. But like you said, that second Pidgey most likely in the prize cards if it hasn't already hit the field yet. So we're going to see that turn 2 Charizard, and that Pidgey is going to go a long ways away from home here. And you still have the Arvin to play with, too, if you still want to, like you said, utilize that Level Ball for the Seal Stone.
Yeah, I think establishing Pidgeot EX definitely is the key to closing this one out. It just keeps the pressure going. It keeps, it keeps your access to boss's orders. It keeps your access to additional Charizard EXs if your only one gets pressured. Really key here, and we see Juggernaut doing that, establishing that Pidgey, and most likely going to be able to evolve that next turn.
Yeah, in the game, making sure you don't want to attach an energy from hand. Just double checking before we do anything. But nope, doesn't need to when it doesn't. Its own Charizard can do it himself.
Right.
So great stuff there from Juggernaut again. The lack of Pidgey on one side is now also going to be reactions problem. How do you how are you going to fare without that Pidgeot in the late game? We'll see what the response is going to be.
Yeah, it'll be tough, I think. It'll be tough. I think the damage numbers are kind of weird in this matchup, especially given that one is playing Defiance Band and one is playing Justified Gloves. I would have to imagine that the matchup is favored for Juggernaut, given that they are in the prize lead currently and they have Justified Gloves to shore that up, even if they are in the lead. But, I mean, we saw last game Reaction was able to pull it back and win anyways, so let's see if that's the case here again.
There you go. Here comes the Charizard coming up here. The boss's orders. Hunted down that Rotom.
Yeah, I will say something that's working towards Reaction's advantage is the fact that there is a 2 prize on the bench to take advantage of. Reaction does not have any such liability, so going to go down to 4 prizes first.
All right, now we got Counter Catcher online here, so do you maybe choose to pop this now or maybe try to save that for later?
I don't think you should use it now, because the reason being is because it doesn't affect your prize race. So if you attack into this Charizard EX, you take 2 prizes in 2 turns, and if you counter catcher, you take 1 prize in 1 turn, which is basically the same this early on in the game. The only upside by counter catchering is that you get to avoid any tricky plays like Turo, but I don't even think Reaction plays anything like that.
There's nothing in the deck that's no Pokemon retreat, like recovery tool, quote unquote. Something like that. The active.
You just attack the active then and set that up for a 2-hit knockout, and then maybe you can counter catcher the knockout after that, and then set up Justified Gloves to do a 1-hit KO on a Charizard EX to close out the game.
So that's what we're going to see here. See the attachment
I would say though, if there was something like a lone Pidgey on the bench, then counter catcher definitely would have a lot more value, or even a lone Charmander, to be honest. Because at that point it's not just about the prize race. You're taking away resources from your opponent, taking away Pokemon that can evolve. So, but here, because there's 2 Charmanders, not quite as important to use that counter catcher this turn.
Very true. Here's the Ultra Ball coming out here. Do we possibly have the Rare Candy in hand? Yep, looks like it's going for the Charizard, assuming that is the case. Second Charizard hitting the field here, and another Infernal Rain also going to zoop up this Charizard. So in this one, like I said, eventually takes the fall. It's just going to set the stage for a second one to pop right back in. No beats have been missed. That looks like we're just going to swing into the Charizard here. Clean 210, like you said. Juggernaut going to be able to clean up nicely here. And has been a Boston's orders in hand for the late game as well. So, looks like we're just going to, utilize the Pidgeot and see if there's anything else you might need to get in hand here. Throw a Charmander down for a future turn.
Yeah, I think you take a knockout here, you take a knockout on a 1 prizer, and then you set up the Justified Gloves play to close out the game from there. I think that's kind of the route we're at currently. And then here, for Reaction, I guess you could potentially hope for a Defiance Gloves boss play onto the Pidgeot EX for an early 2 prize knockout and get rid of that quick search resource, but I think that's probably pretty unlikely to be able to pull off without a Pidgeot of your own.
Right.
So I think here you just take a knockout as Reaction, and then your opponent will want to go down to 2 prizes. Or actually, if you go down to 2 prizes Reaction, then we might just see a Justified Gloves knockout. And then from there, you can also combine that with an Iono. Yeah, that'll probably be the play. So take a knockout here from reaction, then it's over to Juggernaut. Juggernaut take a knockout with Justified Gloves, combine that with an Iono, and I think that should almost guarantee the game for Juggernaut, but not 100% guaranteed. There's something that could pull off something like a Rare Candy, Charizard EX, something insane.
All right, let's see what. Definitely mowing it over here. The hand's definitely a little awkward. We'll see what we get off of the top deck here. Is indeed a Manaphy.
We see a counter catcher, which I guess that makes sense because if you use counter catcher here, you go down. No, I don't think that makes sense because now you lose to boss on Pidgeot EX. So I think it'd be better if you just Justified Gloves, knock out the Charizard, combine that with an Iono, and make sure your opponent has to find a combination of Rare Candy Charizard EX off of 2 cards, and I think that's just way too unlikely. They have to find Rare Candy Charizard EX Defiance Band or Rare Candy Charizard EX Boss in 2 cards plus your top deck.
Yeah, that's asking way too much.
Yeah. But here, now all your opponent needs is just Boss, and that will close out the game.
All right, we see the hand side. Can the Iono hit the floor here? I'm just going to drop the Mew.
So we see a Fire Energy. Again, I think Juggernaut's just getting too cute because you're taking a knockout with Charmeleon here, but and this maybe would be the best play if you didn't have a 2-prize liability on your bench already.
Right.
If there wasn't any Pidgeot EX, this would basically checkmate your opponent almost because they can't take 2 prizes in any way. But here they can. And we see a Ultra Ball for Lumineon V, so this play is going to get punished. And reaction is going to move on to our top 4. I mean, it feels bad to watch some plays that I think could have been optimized a little bit better, but I like that in the mirror. It seemed like the person who played to their outs better did end up winning 2-0, and I think in a skill-based game, I do like to see that sometimes.
Yeah, so that is going to be a reaction coming out on top here, and we'll talk more about it in the casters chat. So hold on for 2 seconds, folks. We can talk about what just happened. All right, and it's us again. So, like we just said, folks, good stuff there to reaction. Like I said, playing to your outs.
Yeah.
You know, the huge stuff right there. So, like I said, that you by going for that attack with the Charmeleon again, it's cute. You know, you're trying to play yourself. Down in the numbers game, but like you said, having a 2-prize liability already on your bench and Charizard's already hitting for the ceiling to knock that out, it's kind of very much a tough call.
I think, I don't blame Juggernaut. It's pretty tricky in those clutch scenarios to find the best line, and they had pretty interesting plays that probably would have been the best play if the situation was just a little bit different. Like I was mentioning, like for example, that Pidgeot EX being on the board, that changes the situation completely, and it makes the best play different, where you can actually use that Justified Gloves to your advantage to take that Charizard EX and use that Iono to basically force your opponent to have to find the Rare Candy Charizard instead, not able to capitalize on that tech for the mirror, and unfortunately not going to move on to top 4. It will be reaction that will face off into, I believe, a guaranteed Urshifu.
It's a guaranteed Urshifu. Let's see, though, they're on the side that has to play the Mew, so it looks like on that side of the bracket is Denson from Japan, rocking the Rapid Strike Urshifu. They're going up against Shmi Christmas.
Okay. So it's probably Mew then, because
that matchup was bad. It's pretty bad.
Wait. Oh yeah, it's bad. So Urshifu is playing Spiritomb, which can help against Mew, that's for sure. But the Mew that is in top 8, Shmi Christmas, is playing Fusion. So Fusion, a lot less bothered by the Spiritomb for sure.
Yeah, definitely you're kind of taking your lumps against other decks in the format as well. Fusion not as good. Let's say in the Charizard. Granted, Charizard versus Mew in general is like not great. Like it's tough.
Right.
It's a lot of playing keep away from your opponent's resources and hope that they don't have the pieces after you judge them, path them. But like you said, the Fusion Strike energy does help alleviate some of that pressure against Spiritomb. We saw that combo. Spiritomb trying to became a thing like earlier in past formats, but because Fusion Mew was very much the more popular version of Mew to play at the time, it definitely didn't see too much success. But now we're starting to see that sort of split between, DTE and then Fusion Mew. So on the other side of things, though, we have our third Charizard of the night. They're going up against Togekisu, also from Japan, going up against Tom Hagen, 0308, also playing Rapid Strike. That match is still currently in progress with Tom Hagen up 1-0. And Corvinus going up against Peter Panda, a third, that other Urshifu, the third Urshifu, going up against the Sablezard, Lost Box, Roaring Moon, pile. I don't feels disrespectful calling it a pile. Yeah. Very good deck, but that combo piece that it did very well. It's Stuttgart this past weekend. So again, very diverse top 8 in the sense that when's the last time we saw 3 Rapid Strike Urshifus in top 8? So
I believe there was 2 in top 8 at
Stuttgart.
So people are catching on that the deck is really good. Yeah, this is. It might low-key be the best deck in the format, win rate-wise, matchup-wise. That being said, the meta can definitely shift against it unfavorably if more people start picking up Mew or Snorlax. That can be really tough for Urshifu to deal with. But speaking of tough for Urshifu to deal with and overcoming its demons, Denton is up 1-0 against Shree Christmas. So we might see a triple Urshifu in top 4. I mean, they're up 1-0 right now. And it's still possible to beat Fusion. I know Rahul, a good friend of mine, did get top 16 recently at Gdansk, and he went 1-1-1 against Fusion Mew with Spiritomb, which is very unlikely, but definitely possible. You could just Spiritomb and hope that they brick if they don't have their Alessas, if they don't have their Seal Stone. Sometimes a Spiritomb can do work for sure.
Yeah, no, I've definitely seen it happen before. It's happened to me. I've played Mew a lot this past format. And it's just run into those matchups sometimes where the Spiritomb sticks. You get one of those Mew hands where it's just like unplayable garbage, not a VIP pass or anything in sight, and you flip tail on a couple of Cramoratics, really does a number on your mental health. But again, I think you raised a good point. Talking to a lot of my friends that are going to San Antonio this weekend, and given the success that the deck just had in Stuttgart, like we mentioned, Rapid Strike seems to kind of really getting that time in this in the bright sunshine. But like you said, because does that mean that Mew comes back from from the depths once again? The deck that refuses to go away. Does Snorlax see an uptick in play again? There's all these questions you have to ask yourself going into the weekend. So, but like you said, if you were hypothetically going to Texas this weekend, would it be safe to assume that Urshifu might be on your list of things to play this weekend?
Yeah, I would almost definitely play it. I tend not to play like the most popular deck or the best deck. I usually play something that I'm really comfortable with and I think it's good. I might consider it to be the best deck personally, but it's usually not what everyone considers to be the best deck. In this case, it kind of lines up that I think it's the best deck and other people think it's the best deck. And it'd be nice to have... Sometimes when you play something like that, it doesn't feel great hitting a lot of mirror, but I've played the deck so much that I think I have an edge in mirror, so I would be really comfortable showing up to San Antonio with it if I was going.
Yeah, I totally hear you. This is the deck I love. I say it every time we get to commentate it during these late nights. As a spectator, I get to watch. I love watching it. And what I really like about it is that, from what I can tell as like an outsider, this is one of the archetypes I've yet to touch, since I've been playing Pokemon. Mostly because I don't know why those Inteleon VMAX are still so expensive. Please, I'm begging you, let's go on sale. But I love that the lines really don't change for this deck. It's just a matter of how you get to where you need to get going. It seems like a lot of what the deck does. It's just like from how you set up, from from your ideal board state to start the game. It feels like a lot of that really doesn't change. So while the deck looks very intimidating, there's a lot of moving pieces around, especially if you're to get the Yoga Loop plays off. It feels very big brain, and intimidating at times. But it feels like one of those things where once you get enough repetitions with the deck, a lot of that really doesn't change. It's just a matter of you getting more comfortable recognizing when to go for that.
Yeah, I think you explained it pretty well. The way I've explained it in the past is that it is probably one of the more difficult decks in the format. Probably one of the most, but it's difficult in a unique way. I think decks like Lost Box or decks like Gardevoir, it's kind of like a question of sequencing and a question of maximizing your win percent. Like, oh, if I take this off of Flower Selecting, I win 55% of the time. But if I take the other thing, maybe I win 51% of the time. And you have to kind of like gauge in your head which is the right choice, and you won't know until like a couple turns later for sure which one ended up being the right choice. And it's kind of like maximizing the percentages. There is a right choice, but it's really hard to tell, right? For Urshifu, I think it's more like a puzzle where there is like a set solution that is like, once you see it, the puzzle is clear. Like once you put the pieces together, you're like, wow, okay, I can actually Yoga Loop this turn. Oh wow, I can actually grab this, and then I can double gunner, and then I can move the damage, and then I can rapid strike, or I can G-Max rapid flow. Like once you see the play, it's like pretty obvious that it's the best play. So I think that's the difference. I think it is difficult, but like you were saying, once you get the reps in, once you're comfortable with it, the image becomes clear. The puzzle pieces fall into place.
Yeah, and again, you've seen the success. We've seen the deck, hang around for a while. Like it's always kind of been on the, the bottom end of the, of the most played decks in the weekend. However, I think at Stuttgart was the first time watching all these regionals in the past few months that I've actually saw pop up on the graphic way near at the bottom for day 2. So it's very, and I think it had the best conversion rate out of decks that made it. I guess it was, or at least I think it was like the second or third best conversion rate out of decks that made it into the top 8. Shout out to PokeStats for making things like this very easy to look up. But I think 7 made day 2 and 2 of them made top 8. So
it was the third best for day 2 conversion, but I'm not sure how many. It probably was the best for top 8 conversion.
Yeah, math is
Stable Zard. Maybe there was only one Stable Zard.
It's nonetheless, though, speaking of the metagame, we can take a look at what we got going on today, and it does also speak for this weekend as well. The third most played deck tonight was Urshifu, Charizard being number 1. So, sandwich in between there is Miraidon, and if Miraidon's the second most popular deck and Urshifu is coming out in these numbers, no surprise to see Urshifu make it in such spades. That matchup for what, I talked to my friends that are going to San Antonio this weekend, one of which is our fellow commentator, Emily, and she was like, yeah, I'm really not excited to have to run into a mess of Urshifu this weekend because I'm really not amongst the other things that can, hit Miraidon for weakness. So, definitely something to be on alert about if you're a Miraidon player.
I think it is favored for Urshifu, but I think there are things Miraidon can do to make it pretty tricky, and there are things that can definitely go wrong for Urshifu if you, for example, prize one of your Urshifu V, which is like pretty common. 15% of the games, roughly, your situation gets really, really dicey really, really fast. So if you need tips on playing as Urshifu or tips as playing even against Urshifu, hit me up for coaching. I can do some last-minute coaching sessions for San Antonio.
Yeah, Lizzie, you got a whole 2 days before, whole 3 days before you got to do anything in San Antonio. I don't think Victor will wake up at 7:30 on Saturday to coach you, but hey, I've seen certain things happen, so
I might
for the right price.
Yeah, I think the meta is really interesting because there are a lot of viable decks, but nothing is, I think, super broken and wins against everything. I think there is kind of like a lot of different triangles, a lot of different rock, paper, scissors triangles going on. And it's not just like one major rock, paper, scissors triangle, but like a bunch of like intersecting ones that kind of like overlap each other. So like one example would be the top 3 decks. Urshifu beats Miraidon. Zard beats, well, I guess this is not a triangle, but Zard beats Miraidon as well. But Miraidon beats a lot of the other stuff that's floating around the meta. So like Lost Box, it can be good against if you get Iron Hands early. Guardy, it's good against. an actual triangle would probably be Zard and Mew and Urshi. So like Zard beats Mew, Mew beats Urshi, and Urshi beats Zard. And Mew can get tricky with it and can play stuff like DTE Luxray to even out the Zard matchup to be like more 50-50. But if you do that, then Spiritomb and Urshi starts beating you. So it's kind of a question of if you want to lose to that as well.
Yeah, just picture that one. If you're all familiar at home with SpongeBob, it's like we're not talking about this, we're talking about this.
Yeah,
It's a bunch of whole intersecting lines all over the place. And personally, I'm all on board with that. You know, as coming from where we were a year ago, where Lugia was 25% of the metagame, so 1 in every 4 decks you're gonna hit is Lugia. When you're probably playing Lugia yourself, it can look really, really. I watched some of those streams, man. Oh my gosh, it's tough stuff. But I do enjoy how diverse the metagame is, and it makes for decks like you said that have maybe kind of like been fallen by the wayside, like decks like Mew that maybe maybe fallen off a bit due to how popular Charizard was, but because everything's so diverse, you can maybe go a whole tournament. You can maybe go a whole round or two, maybe playing one Charizard. So your odds of hitting what's really, really good, might diminish. But obviously, as you get deeper into the tournament, that tends to not to be the case. But like I said, with how spread out everything is, you game plan for one thing, you end up hitting 3 of another, and then it's just like, well, now I feel silly. But it's just kind of way that the cookie crumbles sometimes.
I think this type of meta is really good for newer players because they have a lot of choices on what they want to play. If they want to gravitate towards something, they can choose it. There's probably 10 decks that could make top 8 at any given tournament, and there's probably around 15 plus that can make day 2. We've seen some wacky stuff make it there. I do think it is good for newer players, and it's good for players who like to have a set archetype that is well known and maybe wants to toy around with a couple cards here and there to kind of fit their playstyle or fit their meta that they expect. I do think, though, when the meta is this wide, it's very hard for like really creative decks to come out, like brand new archetypes, where we've seen in the past in that Lugia meta you were mentioning, there was Articuno as an archetype came out to kind of counter Lugia at the time. Stuff like that, less likely to show up when the meta is not centralized because you can't counter everything. There's no way to fit counters to 10 decks in your deck list at the same time. So pros and cons. I personally don't mind the meta because there's a deck that I enjoy that's really good right now.
Yeah, just like I said, find your deck, find a deck that you feel comfortable piloting for 9 rounds, of a tournament, and there's certainly some questionable decisions. I wouldn't say outright bad, but it's like, find something that works with you, and I'm sure they'll have fun with it. That's all it's important to. They're having fun and not bricking. Bricking's not fun.
So I do have an update. Denson was able to take game 1, but very quickly Shmi Christmas was able to run it back with the Mew versus Urshifu to do the reverse sweep and move on to top 4 as expected. Not in the way we expected, but as expected.
Yeah, again, it's a real tough order, like you said. If you're able to, if Spiritomb's able to stick, and you hope that Mew's able to have a couple of turns that are, not very Mew-esque. You give yourself a shot. But when Mew's able to get going again, that's why it's Mew's continues to be such a solid choice. It's just so consistent. Once it's being able to draw that many cards in a turn, being able to see that much of your deck, throughout the course of a turn, it's nuts. And his, I've compared it multiple times to to various horror movie villains, just because it refuses to go away, and it won't go away until Pokemon rips it from our cold hands and makes us put it in our binders. So
yeah, probably the strongest engine to exist in Pokemon TCG history and standard. The only thing that's maybe comparable is Claydol from Great Encounters back around the 2009 era, but even that was less powerful. The only reason it's comparable is because it was more powerful in a single card, at least. You didn't need to fill up your whole bench full of Claydols to get that power, but drawing that many cards enables such silly things like playing Grabber and Judge and Path in a deck that cannot be pathed.
It is quite
So
interesting.
yeah,
Yeah, like I love looking at the history of it. Like I like asking all my friends that have been playing for way longer than I have. Like, has a deck ever been like, continue to stay this meta relevant like throughout the course of its inclusion? Like, between when Fusion Strike first came out to now is like a long time. It's like over 2 years ago now. I think. I think Fusion Strike came out in 2021. So like,
yeah.
it's really interesting stuff to hear just how this deck's been able to withstand the test of time and, has been able to not only stay relevant, but also reinvent itself with with the technology that's used to beat it. Like, it's like, oh, you're just taking Drapion to beat Mew? Oh, what if Mew played Drapion? Or it's like, cheesy for the mirror. It's like, oh, you lose the Judge Path? What if Mew played Judge Path? It's like, when they announced Spiritomb, I was like, okay, how's Mew going to take Spiritomb and be able to use it against other Mews? It's just like, how do they keep taking this tech? Or like, I think there's a guy at one of my locals that he was running the Mew with the Charizard EX, and I'm just like, technology's gone too far. Please stop. Like, we
I
need
did
to.
see a Japanese list like that. Yeah,
It
there's
was.
been
It's silly.
there's been a couple cards that have the staying power that Mew has had, but it's definitely up there. It's definitely up there with the likes of Zoroark GX and Gardevoir from Secret Wonders from Guardy Gallade. Definitely up there for sure. The only other card in recent memory that's close-ish, I think, probably Urshi VMAX has been in top tier decks for a long time, but they have been pretty different since its inception. The way that Urshi VMAX decks have been built, we've seen it with Chinchino, we've seen it with Inteleon, now we've seen it with Octillery and Inteleon VMAX before it was the Shady Dealings Inteleon. But Mew definitely a little bit more relevant throughout its history. Definitely up there with the best, with the greatest.
Yep, and again, get your hands on it while you still can, folks. You can literally play this deck out of a box for the most part, and maybe buy 2 boxes, and then you got.
I do have a friend that played Urshifu to a cup or a challenge, and then hit a newer player playing the League Battle Deck Mew, and they had never won a game in a tournament ever, but they did beat my friend playing Urshi. Just for everyone to know, that League Battle Deck version of Mew has only 2 Genesect V, but that's more than enough to beat Urshifu. More than enough.
That is incredible. God bless Mew. That's just let that just speak for itself. All right, so we're still trying to iron out if we can maybe get a stream match on for this top 4. So we're gonna throw it to a break real quick, so that way you can kind of get our waters, get our snacks. Like I said, I gotta go to work the rest of the week, so I'm here for the long haul. So, but yeah, stay tuned, folks. We'll be right back after these short messages. So hang tight.
It looks like the current match, they can't stream. I asked them. They both said no. Oh, might be an early night. We're trying not to leak Urshifu. I mean, yeah, valid. I mean, if I was at San Antonio and I hit Mew, I wouldn't be surprised. I would be sad, but I wouldn't be surprised. I'd be like, well, this is somewhat expected. Oh well. I did see your tweets about cloth. I'm not sure. What is the allure of cloth? Is it just because it's funny? Is it good? It can make day 2, that's for sure. And it has made day 2. I've spent probably at least like I would say dozens, at least 2 dozen hours trying to get Zoro Box to work throughout various formats and time. So I feel you. That is a Mimi single prize deck, but I just can't. It doesn't work. It's the matchup spread is too bad. Nice. Nice. Oh no. By the way, Kyle and chat. Hi, chat. Apparently, my mic is coming through to chat, just so you know. Thank you, chat. Hopefully, I didn't say anything weird, out of context.
Hey guys, it's us again. So, bit of an update while we were gone on that break. We have advanced in the top 4, however, unfortunately due to technical limitations, none of our remaining contestants can straighten their matches. And while I'm sure you guys enjoyed listening to me and Vic talk for hours and on end, it is also, late o'clock for both of us, and that really hurt our voices. So we got to continue to commentate these in the future. But just got to give you guys the scoop of what's going on. We got Shmi Christmas and Reaction tied up at 1-1 apiece. Togekisu and Corvinus are about to score off in another Charizard. It's a Charizard proper. As Corvinus came out on top over Sablezard. So Charizard versus Urshifu. Urshifu having hold on. Who was a... Oh, God. I just lost my bearings. Where'd everybody go? Get back here. Yeah, so Charizard versus Mew leaves lots to be desired. Kind of a tough matchup, so that could be over quick. I mean, they're already in their third game right now. And again, Urshifu looking to make the run here. But that's unfortunately going to be it for us tonight. So, Vicky, got any closing thoughts on looking forward to San Antonio? Any bold takes? Any cold takes? How are you feeling as we go into this next regional coming up before the end of the year?
Yeah, Urshifu sucks. Don't respect it. No, I'm just kidding. It's a good deck. I expect it to do well, even though I'm not going the best Urshifu player in the world. That's what I expect to do well. I think the deck is good, but there's a lot of stuff that's viable. Even Mew is viable. I wouldn't be surprised if it does well.
I got it sleeved up again. I can't drop like a bad habit. It's like, she just keeps getting hotter. You know what I'm saying? The more toxic she gets. But listen, I definitely echo those same thoughts. I think it's a big weekend for Urshifu. Shaping up to maybe finally, really take over the place, which means that Mew can be coming back in spades, which means that Charizard might continue to feast.
The triangle.
The triangle. Go back to the joke we made earlier. But the triangle, the circle of life continues. It was a very robust metagame. I made a bold take that said that Lugia is due for a good weekend, and I still think that deck sucks. So I might be the lone participant in Lugia Island this weekend. But them's the breaks. But that's gonna be it for us tonight. So Vic, where can the people find you for some of that hot goss, some of that coaching, like we mentioned? Every time I commentate with Vic, I feel like a million times smarter about Pokemon. You're definitely one of the brightest minds the game has to offer. So where can the people find you?
Wow, very, very kind. Thank you. You can check me out on Twitter, __itvic, or on Discord. You can add me itvic without the underscores on Discord. We can talk about coaching. I'm happy to answer questions basically for free, and then if we want to do an official coaching session, we can talk about that. If you want to play as Urshi or you want to really know how to beat Urshi, I am probably one of the better coaches out there for that.
Yeah, and I remember you said you had a part in the list that Rahul played when he went overseas. So this is kind of I guess this is all kind of your fault that Urshifu just continues to show up and continue to do well. So
I think Rahul probably would have found a list and done well anyways, but I did help with it. That I will take credit for.
It's your baby, man. You're watching it grow into a beautiful monster. It's just we love to see it. But yeah, if you guys want to see more of me, I'm at Koopa NJ across platforms. I also will be in San Antonio this weekend. I will be slaving over a hot computer at my day job. But check me out on Twitter. I'll be tweeting about the tournament. Trying to hit up some cups this weekend, so you can watch me play my sad rogue meta decks as I out here. We're all just out here playing Pokemon at the end of the day, so we're all here to have fun. So make sure to again subscribe to the Shuffle Squad if you haven't already done so already, and you guys have no idea how many promo codes for cards, for bulk, for swag, for coaching that you guys are sitting on by not following us on the social medias, as well as subscribing to the YouTube channel. So check out all the content we got there and what we got coming on the pipeline. And we will see you guys next week for another edition Late Night TCG. So good night, everybody, and have yourselves a wonderful evening.